Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's my opponent to go first. I don't have a bingo. I would have Wameful through an A, or if one of my E's were an A. That would be a good way of playing off the W and the U. I do have the FUL suffix. Umwelt is also good if my opponent provides a floating T. If I can't play off the W and the U, I'm certainly looking to split up that pairing. And I'd also like to play off 2 out of the 3 high-scoring tiles. Flew, leaving EMU, would not be terrible. M and U have some synergy. Right, my opponent has provided an A, but not in a good position. I could play Wameful, certainly sort the rack out, wouldn't score very much. He has not provided a T for Umwelt. Now, do I have anything through the N or the O which could reach a double word square? Flume is also good as a 5-letter word, but there's nowhere for that. Can't see anything through the N. And what about the O? Nope, can't see anything through that either. This isn't going to score terribly because I am playing off all 3 of my high-scoring tiles. So 16 points, that's fine. And this looks promising. It's a very balanced rack, 4 consonants, 3 vowels, and they're the best 3 vowels, A, E and I. I'd have Picayune through a U. There is a U in Wameful. Do I have anything else? I would have Sapiency through an S. I think that's good. If Picayune is blocked, I should be able to score reasonably well and leave a decent rack leave. So a play of Yap somewhere leaving CEIN would be fine. Wameful does take an S at the end. If my opponent uses that hook, he'll be leaving the U for my bingo. Quite a lot of floaters on the board, so I need to consider each of them in case I have another bingo. It'll be fairly low probability with a P, Y and C. Can't see anything through the floaters in Ladino. Great. Picayune is not blocked. The only other floater I didn't get around to considering was the L. And I do have the Y for LY and ILY ending words. And I can't see a play through that. I think Picayune takes an S at the end, but I don't think that floater's going to be, well, that hook is going to be particularly useful. Well, I don't know, maybe it will. Column 11 does have double word squares. And this is an unbalanced rack, only 1 vowel, duplicate R. But I have drawn an S. I should be able to resolve this. B double R is good, as well as B triple R. It's possible I have a bingo with these letters, but it would be an 8-letter bingo, and it would go through a vowel, and the floating vowels that are available are I and O. I can't see a bingo through either. I can't see anywhere great to play B double R. Well, it could go at K10 across. Only 14 points, that's not very much. Or at, in column 6, at E6 down. Only 13 points. I'd like to score more than that. I could play brash at J6 down, but I'm reluctant to play off the S. The S can go at F7 and at H13 at the end of a bingo, so it's a good time to keep an S. So my priorities are to play off a B and one of the R's, and also one more consonant. Now I could play Briar at F10 down. Plays off both R's, but the N and the R do not have good synergy. So Briar would leave HNS, which isn't too bad a leave. Only 15 points. I'm really struggling to score more than 20, which is slightly surprising. The B and the H are good scoring tiles. I guess there just aren't any spots next to triple letter and double word squares where I can play them. I'm looking to see if I've got a play through the O of Ladino, which reaches one of the double word squares in column 12. Ah, and I do. I have Harbour. That's quite nice, leaving NS. Great, 22 points. That actually breaches the 20-point mark. Well, that's certainly my preferred play so far. And that would obstruct the N of Ladino, which is a hot spot in that it enables a double-double to be played in column 11. Now I can play branch. Gosh, that took me a while to spot. Branch in column 5 through the C of Picayune. I was just noticing that I could place the H next to that C. Branch would, well, let's see what that would score. 26 points, well that's certainly the best move so far. And the rack leave of RS is also fine. So Harbour and Branch are my two preferred plays, and Branch is the better of the two, and that's still available. I'm just seeing if my opponent has provided any good opportunities for me. In particular, column 11. Do I have a double-double? Nope, I don't. Well, not that I can see. Branch 26. And that's pretty good. 4 vowels, 3 consonants, and I've got the J. I should be able to score well with the J, and having a slight preponderance of vowels is good, because generally with the high scoring tiles you can play off several vowels with them. Now I could play Jaups at I3 down, J-A-U-P-S. 44 points, that's not bad. I don't have a bingo with this rack that I can see. Jasperus is good, but that would need an S and a P in the right spot on the board. That's not going to happen. Can't see a play with the J, which runs from H1 across to the B. Saju is good as a 5, but I'm reluctant to play my S. So I'm looking to play off the J and the U. The ideal rack lead would be AERS, which would mean playing off J, O and U. I can't see a good way of doing that. 16 points for my opponent, and he's opened up row E if takes an R in front. So I could play Jura at E4 across. 28 points, leaving OES. Can I do better than that? Well, what about Jorps? JAUS, leaving ORE. 44 points, that's a lot of points. But it does play the S. I could play Jura at J2 across. 27. That's not good. Sorry, that's not good enough to make it preferable to Jorps. I could play Jaw, J-O-U-R at E3 across. 28 points, leaving EAS. 16 points sacrifice on Jorps. Jorps is just so much better. Well, at least playing off more tiles increases my chances of drawing a blank. And 44 points, it's always good to score. And I think there are 3 S's unseen. I draw the Q. Through a U I would have roquetted or rocade. There is a U in Jorps. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I'm in a tricky spot. I'm only 20 points in front. And I've got a reasonable rack except for the Q. Now is there anywhere on this board I can play the Q? I could play QI at F3 for 11 points. Is there anywhere else? I can't play anything through the U of Jorps. The short words which could be useful are cat and cade, or trank, caddy. None of those play. Okay, well it's not a bad rack, so QI, Chi rather, for 11 points is okay. If I draw a vowel I probably don't have a great rack, but there are the floating C and R in Corvina, both of which go well, reasonably well with this leave. Let's see what happens. I duplicate the R. Well, that's good for my opponent. He now takes a 40 or 37 point lead. Do I have anything through the C of Corvina? I don't think rectored is good. I'm wondering if there's an anagram, as in an anagram of the phony rectored. So I've got a feeling I've tried rectored before when testing myself on words, which would suggest that there's a good one there. Well, this will be an expensive miss because I'm being 40 points behind and the board is reasonably tight, so it would be great to come back with a bingo straight away. I'm wondering about re-rooted or rooted. I know rooter is good because I missed it in a previous bingo as an outplay. But is it a noun or a verb? There is the eth in Wameful. So I could have a word beginning for or fed. And there's the L of Wameful. Can't see anything through that. Wow, these re-words are tricky. Just thinking about re-rooted. And re-rooted is clearly good with, if root is spelled with a U. I think that's what I'm confusing it with. So is rooted good? I think I would be guessing if I played that, and I don't like to do that. Nothing has sprung to mind with the C of Corvina. I do not think rectored is good. Okay, do I have a 7? Because whole takes a D, so if I had a 7 it would certainly play. Well, not that I can see. Okay, so what do? I need to keep the board open. I need to keep a decent rack leave. But I don't want to be reckless. Having said that, there aren't that many openings on the board, so I would like to keep the existing openings available, and one play I could make is Oya down here. Only 16 points. Well, actually 16 points is not bad with this rack. The rack leave of DERT is quite good, and with the whole available, any 7-letter bingo is going to be playable. And this may make my opponent nervous or cause him to burn an S, which is the only end hook of Oya. He may think that I have an S. I am taking out the floating F and L of Wameful, but they're not great floaters. That's not great. I don't have a bingo. And I have a duplicate T, and I haven't drawn an S. So I'm looking to play off the K. The K is quite a good tile. And it goes with this C in Corvina. I could play Trecht. 38 points. Actually, that's not bad. This isn't a fabulous rack, in the sense that the best possible rack leave isn't particularly great. I don't have any tiles that go in front of OU. And with the Oya hook being open, I think this is a good time to open the board wide open. This opens up column 1 as well as row A, and it scores well. I have 7 consonants, including 3 T's, so this is an awful time to be faced with this rack just when I've opened the board up hugely. I need to consider the options available. It looks like the obvious thing to do is change, but maybe I don't need to do that. I'm 50 points behind. My opponent scored 62 points for Zoe. He also used the second blank. So he's actually got a very good lead now. 51 points, and he's on turn, with plenty of scoring opportunities on the board. There are 24 tiles in the bag. There's 7 on my opponent's rack. And the only obvious scoring spot is at A3 down, but really that's only an opportunity to play off 2 tiles, something like Mew, and that's only going to score about 20 points. 26 points. 26 points with a 5 consonant leave is not good enough, especially when those 5 consonants include 3 T's. So I think I am looking at changing. Looking at the tiles that are left, they're not actually particularly bingo-y. All the R's have gone. There's only 1 N left. Yeah, I think I do need to change, even though I'm 80 points behind. Well, let me just check that there's nowhere totally fabulous for my X. No, there isn't. And because I need a bingo, I'm going to play off the X. I'll keep the T because there's only 1 in the bag and it's a good tile. Great. Descent, Disnest, Snidust. I don't unfortunately have a triple through the T of Trecht, which would really have brought me back into the game. But I'm sure I'll be able to play one of my bingos. I've got row C, where I can play Snidust and Ids, and there's also column 14 where I can pluralise whole. I don't think there's any other great bingo lanes available. My opponent cannot block both of those openings. I'm just wondering if I have anything through the O of Corvina. Donziest I think is good, but that doesn't play. There may be an anagram of that. Now I am 80 points behind, 88 points behind, plus whatever my opponent scores now. My preference would be to play in row C because it scores more than the column 14 bingo play, and column 14 will also open up column 15 and the triple word squares on that. So even if I get a bingo, my opponent's likely to have a good response if I'm playing in column 14. Ladino takes an S at the end, so I could play through the E of whole, pluralizing Ladino. But I can't see a bingo. There may well be one. Destins is good, isn't it? Yeah, so I can play Destins and Ladinos. I'm not sure if Destins has got any anagrams. 78 points for Destins. $75 points for Snidest and Ids. Now it's possible I've got a play in column 12 through the R, the L and the O, a 10-letter play, which could be a double-double. That's going to be very hard to spot. I do have the NESS ending. Great, my opponent seems to have blocked, or decided to block the 9 timer, which is great because he's only scored 14 points and I didn't have a 9 timer. I don't know what tiles my opponent had, but his, well, maybe it was a good idea to block the 9 timer, but I'm not sure he's so far ahead that he can be sure that I won't catch him. So 78 points for Destins. That will bring me to within 30 points. And I pick up the 3 T's I chucked back a moment ago. But this time I do have a couple of vowels. There are 10 in the bag, 7 on my opponent's rack, and of the really high scoring tiles, there's just the X. The bag is not bingo-y. So, oh, of course I didn't consider row. Oh, pluralizing Oya. I could have played Snidest across there. 85 points. Okay, so I've dropped 7 points by playing Destins. That's not too awful. There is an S unseen. So if my opponent pluralizes Oya, I will have been punished. Now I need to focus on my rack. It's not a good one. I'm going to struggle to score and I am behind. Well, there goes the X. 8 in the bag. Now my opponent has opened up a bingo lane in row C for my G or my T to go above un. And although the bag isn't bingo-y, if I played off of just a couple of T's, my rack leave would be fairly bingo-y. And I'm 60 points behind, so I think I probably need a bingo to win. So I certainly want to play off a couple of T's. I like keeping the A and the E because there are no E's left and there's only one A. 3 I's, well that goes quite well with this rack. So if, for example, I picked one of the I's and the S, I would have like gates, and that would be playable in column 14 and in row O. So have I chosen the best spot for playing my 2 T's off? If I played them at J12, making tit, I think, well, that would open up column 15. But tit takes an I as well as an S after it, and with 3 unseen, my opponent could easily score well. And also that doesn't score as much as tet. So anywhere better for my T's. No, let's see if I can pick an I and an S. No, not quite. I do draw an I, but I have a W to go with it. I don't have a bingo. But there are still 2 bingo lanes on the board. My opponent can't close both of them down, and he's only 57 points ahead. So my hopes are not yet extinguished. I can place the W at J6 for 13 points. My priority being to play off the W, and with only 6 in the bag, and my opponent to play, there's not going to be many tiles in the bag. So do I have a bingo? Wow. Okay, my opponent gets 17 for gin. Well, I said wow because he was opening up column 1, but it's only opened up for a non-bingo, and that's not good for me. Gin taking an A in front. But with 4 in the bag, maybe if I played wag or gore down here. This would score 26, which is a good score. That would take me to 342, 38 behind. Leave 1 in the bag. Playing off 3 tiles increases my chances of drawing an S. An O wouldn't be disastrous with this rack leave. And I'm preventing my opponent from using the front hook of gin. So there's a lot that's good about this move. Great. I do draw the S. I've got betoils in row O and betoils in row C. Splendid. Wow, this is going to be a thrilling climax to this game. There's 1 tile in the bag. I can see the 8 remaining tiles. They're not good. My opponent cannot block both of my bingo lanes. Wow, that was a great pickup. It could have been a lot worse. I'm sure the odds of my having a bingo on this rack were less than 50%, and they may well have been a lot less than 50%. But they weren't 0, and I have got a bingo playable in 2 spots. And I've got 4 minutes on my clock. Great, my opponent is blocking row O, but he has not blocked row C. Now, is there a 3rd bingo lane that I haven't considered? Well, I need to, possibly column 14 if there were an anagram of betoils, which there might be, and it's I should certainly know that. But I think betoils in this location is going to score the most. 82 points. Is that going to be enough? Yes, it is. And wow, that's the end of the game. I wasn't expecting to win that. And the final score, 390 to my opponent, 446 to me, a winning margin of 56 points. Let's see what I missed. So my opponents go first. And I could have had Woeful at G12, scoring 24 points and keeping a rack leave of EM. Well, that's certainly better than Wameful for 16. Picayune was the only bingo. And Branch looks like it was best. Brash scores 11 more points, but I think the RS leave is 11 points better than NR. And Saju was playable for 44, which is the same number of points as I got for Jorps. Yeah, Saju row N opening up row O, so I prefer Jorps. And here, what did I play here? I played just the Q, and I could have got 27 points for emoted and kept EQR. I actually prefer playing just the Q. Great, I didn't miss a bingo with this rack. I agonised over it. It's obviously fairly close to a bingo, and there were a few floaters to consider, but nothing missed. And well, I played Oya for 16, and I could have played Forted through the F of Waneful for 24. Maybe Oya was unnecessarily risky opening the board, but I was behind. Well, let's have a look. I was only 40 points behind, so Forted would have left me about 20 points behind. Yeah, I think Oya was not the best play. Trekked for 32 at B1. Well, a couple of alternatives which look similarly good. This was the horror show rack. Well, changing isn't suggested, but I think changing is certainly best. This is where I missed row O, but having said that, Destins wasn't far behind. And even after playing Destins, I am 24 points behind, so keeping row O open may well be the best play. Tattle. Well, this is where I played off just a couple of tees. I was 60 points behind. I think the winningest play is playing off a small number of tiles to maximise the chances of getting a bingo. Now this is where I played Gore at F1, and it's also playable at J12, but I think it's better at in column 1 because it denies my opponent that hook, and given that he played Gin, I think there was a good chance that he had an A, which he did indeed have. Right, this was when I had Betoils. It doesn't look like there is an anagram of it, and it was the only playable bingo. And that concluded the game. So a thrilling game. I was behind, having fallen behind to Corvina and Rounder. I was a long way behind. I needed a bingo to win. The only way I could get a bingo was through drawing well. So I tried to maximise my chances of drawing well, and was fortunate on this occasion to have a playable bingo at the end. So I hope you found that video interesting. It does illustrate what you need to do when you're behind. So I hope that was of value and that you enjoyed watching it. My name is David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.